Since 2008, every healthcare provider needs to cover substance abuse treatment. This is what we in the treatment industry call a gold rush.
But you've got, what, 8 movies coming out this year now? Which is insane.
Something like that, in some form or another. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of COVID, everything kind of got bottlenecked, you know, and it made me look like I'm in high demand, and I'm not.
No one else needs to know that.
Right.
You can just ride that wave.
Let's perpetuate the lie.
What is it that kind of keeps you motivated to keep taking project after project? Because I know a lot of actors of your caliber like to take long stretches of time off.
Yeah, no, you know, like my ability to keep working happened later in my life, and so I still have that kind of working class mentality, and you know, I'm certainly not a star. I mean, I'm just a working actor, and I want to keep working. So I'm always afraid that the ice cream cone is going to melt. So I keep working until it does, you know?
You're being very humble.
I'm not really being humble. I come from like real blue collar roots, and the idea of waiting to work, I would shoot myself. I mean, I couldn't do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Seems like a hard mentality to shake off. Not that there's any need to do so anyway.
Yeah.
And yes, of the movies that happen to be coming out this year, there's a huge range of different projects, from like, you've got No Man's Land, which is a kind of indie Western, you've got big budget actions. How do you select the projects you get involved in?
Well, myself and my partner, Joe Carnahan, the director, we have a production company. So, you know, Boss Level, the movie that's coming out tomorrow, that was a big kind of action, you know, comedy that we've been trying to make. So we try to make 1 or 2 movies with our company, and then I try to fill in the rest of my life around that. And you know, movies like Body Brokers and No Man's Land, they're small movies. They're $2 and $3 million films that I just love the story, and I'm able to come, you know, be one of the cast. So it's fun. It's I like my career. It's, you know, I'm not a movie star. I'm a guy that sometimes stars in movies, but mostly I'm just one of the cast, and I love it.
And Body Brokers in particular was really interesting. It's based off a true story. Yeah. That must have been like, I don't know about you, maybe it's different over in the US, but that kind of idea and story and system that goes on in terms of healthcare and rehab centers and the such, like, is completely unknown here. Did that come as a shock to you when you first read the script?
You know, it didn't come as a complete shock. The depth of it was eye-opening. The amount of money that is stolen. But my father, years ago, was a victim of a body broker scam. He had a drinking problem, and they flew him first class from New York. He was not even sober. They flew him on an airplane first class from New York to San Diego, California. He was in his pajamas. And then they put him in a stretch limousine, and they drove him to San Diego, where the recovery center was. And he was there for 90 days. And it dawned on me that he was a victim of this kind of scam, you know, in the recovery system, and the insurance company paid the whole thing. So that was kind of like my eye-opening kind of light bulb moment. Like, I got to do this movie. It's important people know about this. Plus, it's kind of a fun movie. Yeah. And I love the director who wrote the script. So it was all a great, easy thing to do.
How did things end with your father? That sounds like a very stressful situation.
You want to know the truth? It's sad. He's not with me anymore. I adored the guy. He had a great heart, but he just couldn't lick the alcohol thing. He went to rehab 11 times. So, and my mother's insurance paid all 11 times. And if you add that up over the course of how many years, I mean, that is millions and millions of dollars that an insurance company is responsible for. And so this is why we have screwed up healthcare in America.
Yeah, that must have meant a lot to you to be able to do this movie.
Yeah.
given how touched you were by the events personally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I was gonna ask if you did any research, but that's yeah, first-hand experience is as good as it gets, really.
I did do research into the Healthcare Act that allowed all of this to happen, and I did research a bit more research into other recovery places, and then I just kind of fashioned the character. I imagine what would Tony Robbins be if he went bad,
Mm.
and that's how I fashioned the character.
Works well. And yeah, you said it's like a fun movie, which sounds really weird when someone reads a synopsis, but there are undercurrents of real, like, almost like actiony fun, which
Yeah,
is insane because we're talking about a movie about drug
I
addicts
know,
going
drug
to
addicts and
rehab.
alcoholics. I know.
Yeah, so that's a fun contrast of
Yeah.
tones. And you've got No Man's Land as well. These are all roles that are maybe quite different from what people generally expect you to take up. Do you have any reservations about kind of like being seen first and foremost as like an quote unquote action star?
No, I mean the whole people considering me an action star is, it's flattering, but I mean, I don't consider myself. I mean, I love now. I'm really leaning into it, so
Hmm.
it's great fun. But I'm equally inclined, if not more, to go and stretch myself as an actor and go play a guy from a rancher from South Texas, or this Tony Robbins-esque guy from California, and kind of have some fun, But look, action movies are this is what I grew up on. I grew up on
Hmm.
these movies that people are now associating me with, and they're saying, "Well, you're an action star." I'm like, all right, okay, all right, I'll go with that. I'm still fit. I'll do it. So it's fun to be. Look, when you're kind of in the world of real movie stardom, like Tom Cruise or these guys, you got to be real careful about what you're doing. But I get to jump all over the place. Do you know what I
Mm.
mean? I mean, people. It's fun. Like I said, I'm a working actor. So as long as I'm working, I'm okay.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
your production company, War Party, right?
yeah.
Um, I read an interview with Joe Carnahan, who does this with you, and it said that War Party is intended mostly to make sort of action movies reminiscent of the golden era of the like 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
What do you love most about that genre, sort of both from an actor's perspective working in those movies and from a viewer's perspective?
I think, what we loved about it was, first and foremost, all those movies had great lead characters, right? They were flawed. They were fun to watch.
Very much so.
You think about the Mel Gibsons and the Stallones and even the Kurt Russells in some of those movies. And, what was it? Arnold Schwarzenegger. And, it was something about them that you wanted to watch them, and you knew they were going to you could get themselves out of trouble. And then there were just big sets and a lot of fun, and they were kind of winking at you while they were doing it, and and they were rated R. It was a bit vulgar, and I think
Mm.
we lost that along the way. And Joe and I's mission statement is kind of bring an elevated version of it back into the world if we can. Not necessarily just with me. We went out and we got Mel Gibson to be in the movie, and
Right.
and Naomi Watts, and a slew of other great people. And it's so much fun to do this. It's like, it's not work. It's
Mm.
hard to do, but when you're doing it, it's like, wow, we're so lucky to be able to do it. And we're a good partnership. We're good apart, but we're really better when we're working together.
Mhm. And Boss Level seems like a real passion project of yours. What was the process like there?
Yeah, after we did The Gray together 11 years ago, Joe had this project called Continue. We tried to get it made with me. They weren't able to kind of finance it on me at the time, not even close. And then, we stayed friends. We did a movie called Wheelman for Netflix. It launched our company, and we said, when we get the chance, let's revisit, Boss Level, which was Continue. And we made a bunch more movies, and then we got the rights back to Boss Level, and we got it financed. So It's not been easy, but it was a cool journey. And even with COVID, we were supposed to come out in the theaters. It got yanked. We were like, wow, we're cursed. But then Hulu swept in and they gave us a great marketing plan. And tomorrow it comes out. I'm on billboards here in Hollywood. It's The Rock yesterday tweeted that it's been, when you think something's doesn't go your way, it may be because something better is around the corner. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a stunning turn of events. I know a lot of other, filmmakers, smaller filmmakers in particular, feel quite cursed and let down by the whole situation of having to, release their films online, etc. But it is
Right.
such an opportunity to reach like a much bigger audience,
Huge.
isn't it?
Huge. When theaters were in play, you were really a slave to the opening weekend. That's the big thing in this town. What it do opening weekend, and if it didn't do well opening weekend, it leaves the theaters really quickly, right? And people forget about it, and then people aren't talking about it. And even when it comes out, months later, it's not exciting. I have to tell you, what Hulu is doing on a marketing scale is just second to none. And we will get more eyes on this film than would ever be seeing it in the theater. So knock wood, people dig it on Hulu and word of mouth spreads and everybody watches it.
Well, The Rock has a lot of Twitter followers, so I'm sure he'll do pretty well.
Yeah.
And yeah, you kind of got your start basically boosted you were the Purge franchise and the Marvel films, arguably. Would you, at this point in your career, return to those roles if you were given the opportunity, or are you quite happy to leave that behind now?
Well, it's funny you should say that, because James DeMonaco, the creator of The Purge, who hadn't directed the last two, he just wrote them. But we are in discussion, him and I, of going back with my character from the movie and doing Purge 6.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So the answer is yes. And, truth be told, if and listen, whatever I even open my mouth about Marvel, it becomes the lead story anywhere. And I'm a secondary character at best. But, at the end of the day, if Kevin Feige said, we're going to bring Crossbones back in some, yes, I would absolutely go back.
Yeah. Well, you've got What If coming up, and I understand you're in one of the episodes.
A couple of them so far.
Oh, okay, very nice. Yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, it's funny you say that you're like a small character, because I was reading your interview with Collider, and you were like, oh, I'm only in Age of Ultron for like 12 minutes. And I read that, I was like, that can't be right. But yeah. Which is insane.
Yeah, but it goes to show you the power of Marvel and how impactful each character and how important it is, because it doesn't matter look, you could be on the screen the whole movie and nobody remembers you, or you could be in a movie for 15 minutes and they think you're in the whole movie. It's interesting.
I suppose that's the magic of having such a huge sort of like backstory and surrounding mythology to existing characters. Yeah. And yeah, with so many other movies coming out, is there anything you want to plug? You mentioned The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard.
Yeah, and I just finished. It's in the can now. A movie called Cop Shop that our company made. It's myself and Gerard Butler, and Joe Carnahan directed it and wrote it. And again, it's a cool kind of a little bit more cerebral action flick. It's Jerry Butler like you've never seen him, and I'm excited about that. That's a big movie. Ida Red, which is myself and Josh Hartnett and Melissa Leo, from the same director as Body Brokers. And I got a couple of other things coming out that I don't remember. And
it's hard to keep track of release dates. They keep changing.
Yeah, they keep changing them, and so yeah, it's good. I'm busy, and hopefully people don't get sick of me.
I doubt it. And any future projects that you've perhaps not started production on that you're excited about in the next?
Yeah, I'm going to go do a couple of movies. I'm leaving to do a movie shortly. Another movie with the director of Body Brokers, and then I'm going to do. I'm going to go do a little movie with Jamie Foxx. And then Joe and I have a movie that we're about to hopefully get financed, and we'll do that in the summertime.
A little movie with Jamie Foxx doesn't sound so little. That's very exciting. I don't want to keep you much longer because I know you've got a long press day ahead, but thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you so much.
It's capitalism, baby. Boy, I have never seen anyone look so miserable counting money.
There's not a lot of people that can make something of themselves.
Vito, how do you feel?
Yeah, we have a winner.
We're partners, man. And we trust you. God is great.